Hello everybody and welcome to this special video I guess I wanted to do about Warframe. This is a game I have been enjoying immensely over, I don't know, maybe the last couple of months that I've started to play it. It was always something that I was aware of but never really tried it out. And since I've started to play it and really got into it, I have really kind of like fallen for it, I would say, in a big way. And I wanted to make this video to kind of chat about this compared to, I guess, the game that people will most compare it against, which is Destiny 2, I guess. Both are kind of space opera style action MMOs in a way that I use MMO a little bit loosely, but you know, it's quite a broad spectrum with that term nowadays. However, there are some big differences between the two games, which I wanted to kind of highlight for any kind of Destiny players out there who maybe think or maybe dissatisfied with Destiny and maybe want to try something out which is a little bit different. First thing I will say is that Warframe is free. Sometimes I feel that might actually put people off, that they don't feel like they're getting a premium product if the game is free. I can assure you that is not the case. This game is packed with more features than most AAA games out there at the minute. I'm a big fan of MMOs. I play a lot of Elder Scrolls Online, and this game kind of blows that out of water for a lot of different reasons. Destiny 2, I feel its business practices at the minute are, I don't know if I'd use the term outdated, but certainly a little bit kind of, what would be the term? Expensive would be one term, I guess. You obviously have to pay for Destiny 2, you have to pay for the expansions. There's nothing inherently wrong with that when you compare that to a lot of games out there. One of the things they're doing though with the newest expansion is that you have to, in order to play the Forsaken expansion, you have to have purchased the other expansions as well, which feels a little bit predatory, to be completely honest there. So not too happy about that. Destiny is, as those of you know, a kind of a loot grinding kind of shooter in a way. You know, it's got those MMO elements. There's a lot of teaming up. It's got that kind of min-maxy kind of feel to it that a lot of people like. And yeah, overall, I've enjoyed my time with Destiny. However, I'm not sure I'm going to go back to it again after playing through Warframe, because a lot of the things it just does way better than Destiny, and at a kind of I don't want to say the cost is a reason necessarily, because it isn't. Like I never really begrudged paying the prices for Destiny's expansions, because it was kind of something you signed up for if you played Destiny 1. But what disappointed me was probably the content that you got in those expansions, and that's what it counts. I have no problem spending £20 to £40 on an expansion if there's a lot of content in there, if I'm going to get a lot of time out of it and enjoyment, but that hasn't been the case recently with Destiny. I obviously don't know about Forsaken yet. I'm recording this before that comes out. I don't really intend upon playing it, as I said, but I think that you know, when you compare the two on a value proposition, there is no comparison. Warframe just does that way better. So what are the big differences, in my opinion, or the big things which Warframe does much better than Destiny? So and vice versa, I guess, because you know, Destiny 2, if you guys have obviously played it, it's a great looking game. It's a very fun game to play. I love the shooting mechanics of it. As a whole, I can jump in and just play it, and it just feels so nice and smooth and enjoyable. You know, those headshots are really fun, and you know, the kind of movement's nice. it's got a really nice feel to it. And Bungie, as we know, are the kind of masters of first-person shooters. They, you know, kind of took the genre into their own with Halo, and you know, Destiny is a really fun first-person shooter to play. I think the problems that come from Destiny is what's underneath the bonnet there. It is a bit of a loot shooter. There are random drops. I've never really enjoyed the randomness of it a little bit, because you know, you can feel sometimes, especially with the way the engrams work, you know, they've recently changed it to the fact that you don't get duplicates, but that wasn't the case before, and it was thoroughly annoying. And you know, it can be frustrating sometimes when you really want to get that one weapon, that one gun, and you are just not able to get it. So what I like about Warframe is that you can get that one gun, and there are choices as to how you want to get it. So first things first, the different Warframes you have, there are, I believe, 40, if not more, Warframes available. That's a lot. They each have their own distinct abilities, their own distinct looks to them, their own kind of feel, their own movement, their own stats, and they play in very, very different ways. If you think the different classes in Destiny, sometimes I felt like they played a little bit similarly, especially if you're using the same kind of weapons and loadouts, just had different abilities. But I think in Warframe there's a nice distinction between playing through different ones. I own Ash Prime. I love him. He's a kind of tanky, real solid kind of ninja. And then you have someone like Ivara, who's this kind of like quite fragile build, but has these cool kind of stealth mechanics built into her. You know, you have Trinity Prime, which is very much a support based Warframe, so kind of more about healing and stuff like that, although obviously there isn't a distinct class of healing or anything like that. And then you have others like Mag, Volt, Excalibur, each have their own devices, you know, and you know, all the other ones you do, they all have interesting mechanics associated with them. Now, when you first play the game, you get a choice, I think, between Excalibur, Mag and Volt, of which you want. And then which other Warframes you get is kind of up to you, because you have two options. You can pay for them, or you can grind for them. Now, if, for example, I wanted to get Atlas, I could pay 275 platinum, which I got 1,000 platinum recently for £16.50. The game gave me a 50% off voucher, so normally it would be £32. So if you didn't use a voucher for it, so that's a quarter of 32, which would be what, £7 or £8, I think, for a Warframe. You might think, oh well, that's a bit pay to win, but it kind of isn't, because you have to level that Warframe up. You can see here they've got numbers next to ones I've got. Trinity Prime's level 17. My Ash Prime is level 30, which is the max, and that's when you really start to you unlock the powers as you go through up to level 10, and then once you hit 30 and you start doing other things with it, which we'll go into, that's when you kind of hit that level. But that takes quite a long time, and you have to play with that Warframe to go through, and it's going to be a bit squishy at first as you go through. So you know, you kind of like level it up, so it's not just a case of purchasing the Warframe and then doing that. Now you might be thinking, well, you know, I thought this game was free, I have to pay for these Warframes. As I said, you can grind for them. I'll show you an example of that in a bit, but also you can earn platinum in the game. So you can trade things, you can sell things on the marketplace, and you can earn platinum. You know, you could grind for parts for a Warframe, then you could sell it, you know, make that money, maybe invest it in a different Warframe you wanted, you know, kind of grind it up. And they're kind of high level players, they do that a lot and probably barely spend a penny. I liken it a little bit to the way high level WoW players don't really pay for game time, because they are constantly, you know, earning it within the game. It's kind of that way. But as I said, I don't feel like, even with the business model it's prohibitively expensive in any way. Every expansion in Warframe is free. It always has been. They've kind of said it always will be. They, and I, as I said, purchased 1,000 platinum. I kind of almost felt guilty. I hadn't paid anything for this game. I'd spent 20 hours in it, and I was coming out and going, I haven't spent any money on this game. I almost feel a bit bad for that. So as I said, I dropped £16.50. I think it's £32 normally for 1,000 platinum. I got 1,000 platinum, and I brought a few cosmetic items. I brought Warframe, and I've brought a few other things like slots, etc., which allow you to have more Warframes along the line. And I still have 381, so I've only really spent just over 600 platinum doing that, and I intend to kind of save that. If something along the line comes along that I really like, I'll probably pick it up. But what's really nice, as I said, is there's the distinct different style between the different Warframes that you kind of have. They look really nice. I love the kind of art style. I will say the game is not quite as stunning as Destiny 2. It does still look good, especially some of the new areas. I'd liken the game a little bit to WoW, where if you go and play something like WoW and you go to the early areas, or Elder Scrolls Online, you go to the early areas, they look nowhere near as good as the new areas. I've seen some shots. My girlfriend plays WoW, and she was showing me the new areas in the recent Battle for Azeroth update, and they look really nice. And you compare those to the old starting areas, which do not look good. And Warframe, it doesn't look bad in the older areas, but being that this game came out in 2013, you can imagine some of the areas are not quite as good. The newer areas, I think of like the Plains of Eidolon, which is the open world area, because that's right, it's got an open world area in it. Looks brilliant. I think I love the way it looks. The new expansion, Fortuna, coming, looks really nice as well. It's kind of more of a snowy area. And overall, it just looks like a really, really nice game nowadays. I think it's got some really nice detail on it. It's not power hungry. You can run this on a lower end system quite easily. Destiny actually does okay, to be fair. I get an easy 60 at 4K on Destiny. At 2K, I can get close to 100 or over 100. So it runs okay, but first-person shooters should run that well. I guess the point I should take with Warframe is that it is not a first-person shooter. It is a third-person shooter. And we'll look at some gameplay and how that pans out, but actually it works pretty well, because this game is about speed. It's about momentum. And it's about shooting things in the head or chopping them up with a big sword, potentially. There are so many weapons in this game. It's unreal. And I kind of said before that you can choose what weapons you want. In the same way with the Warframes, you can craft any weapon. You can craft any weapon, in the game that you want as well. With these main weapons, you have mastery locked, which are your levels. So as you level up, you unlock more of them, which you can then pick up, and you can purchase and craft. You can again pay platinum to purchase something, or you can purchase the blueprint to craft it. It will show you what you need. You can see here I'm actually not too far away from being able to craft this. I've got enough stuff. Just a few plastids kind of left to go. I'm a bit low on credits at the minute, but that's because I've been buying things like a madman. And yeah, it's cool. Again, the weapons, like the Warframes, they level up to level 30. There are so many cool ones. You have your main weapon, which are obviously things like rifles, sniper rifle, bows, which are super cool, and then some crazy stuff coming later as well. How about a giant crossbow, or whatever the hell that thing is? I have no idea. Some of the weapons just look cool. They look so distinct. They play very differently. They are basically like Destiny's exotics, but these are the standard weapons. There's no trash tier weapons. There's no there's no blues, there's no, did they even have greens anymore? I don't know, but there's no blues. Everything it feels like it's an exotic weapon, and the fact that you pretty much get to choose what you want to do. If you're like, now I want to get the Quanta, I can purchase that if I wanted to, 150 platinum. That would unlock the weapon for me now to play, or I don't think I can get the blueprint for that, but you can get the blueprints for them. Everything in the game can be crafted. There is nothing which is behind a paywall. Mutualist Quanta, I mean, that's just freaky as hell. Again, you can pick that up. You can craft these things. I can pick the blueprint up here and then get hold of it, the hind. It's really, really cool. Same with sidearms. You have your sidearm as well. Again, you can have kind of like dual pistols, which, oh my god, imagine if they did dual pistols in Destiny. They don't. You have little, like, I think this is like a little rocket launcher, mini rocket launcher. This is some sort of bolt weapon. It's just crazy. This is the one I'm crafting at the minute, the Vasto. I just really like the look of it. It's like a space Wild West revolver. You can even get that to dual wield, which, yes, I really want that. I'm only mastery 4 at the minute, so there's plenty to do, but these weapons just look so cool. The design of it is so good. I have no idea what even they are. That's a pretty nice looking weapon actually as well. I mean, sure. These weapons are just crazy, I think, to use. And you have your melee weapons. I've got a giant badass sword right now, which I love to pieces. I have a bow as well I can use. I have a giant hammer. There's like a sword and shield. I mean, like these kind of like, I don't know what you would call them, gauntlets it calls them, dual swords, dual axes, all sorts of things. This is a whip, I think. Yeah, half taser, half whip. This goes on your arms and legs. This thing's like a pirate space saber. Just, you get the idea anyway. It's flipping cool. Look at that. How cool is that? Yeah, very is the answer. You get companions. I have a dog called Bitey. You can also get like little, almost what look like ghosts as well, which follow you around and help you, support you, can attack, they can heal you, they can do things like that as well. And you have different gears, and obviously you have your emotes and stuff as well. So that's cool in itself. Then you take this to the next level and you can upgrade, and then you get mods which you put into them. And I'm not just talking like one mod like you do in Destiny. I'm talking loads of mods, and then you can upgrade those mods and you can fit them in, and oh my goodness me, the depth of it is just insane, and you pick the mods up as you go through. And then you have appearance, for example, which, in Destiny, you obviously have to pick up your shaders. You can now shade different parts of your body, so I guess you can do different things, but this is free. And there's so much customization, it's unreal. Not only can you potentially change helmets on there, you can get different skins as well for it. You can see I've got Ash Prime here. You can get attachments, so little chest pieces and things like that, which you've wanted. Arms, legs as well, and you can obviously colour all of them. You get the Sidana, which is your kind of cloak thing I've got here. So I have like different ones I can use. I really like this one though. I think it looks awesome. You can purchase these. You can see money transactions there. You can use platinum as well. So you wouldn't be able to, technically, these ones with the money, be able to craft them, but it's kind of, look at that. That is badass as hell. Where's the one that I saw the other day? That one is. You do not get this level of customization in, something like Destiny. And if you really want to look unique and you really want to go out there and, take it to like the next level, you just have so many options. This was the one, I think. And look, that's so cool. So cool. So yeah, the customization option in Warframe is just off the charts. In my opinion, it is so good. Um, and yeah, it's just really cool. You can get different loadouts as well, so you can switch between them easily if you're fighting different enemies which might have different weaknesses. You don't have to necessarily go into your into your inventory and switch out your different weapons, stuff like that. You can just choose A, B, C, and then you can go. I love that, as I said, the different choices you have. You can do random, you can do default, you can make, if you choose your weapons appearance, you can make them copy your Warframe colors, you see, so you have everything matching without having to do that. Different skins for your gun. It's just so cool. So cool. Yeah, and there's so much customization there. And then you get to something like the foundry, which is where you make things. So here you craft stuff. To craft something like a Warframe, you need different parts which you have to find the blueprints for, and then you have to craft them. You can purchase them in the market. Other players will sell things, as I said, for platinum, which is generally cheaper than actually straight up buying it from the store, which you can do. I chose to buy some of my stuff from the store because I genuinely wanted to support the game, and that money goes to the developers rather than anything else. You can see here you've got, like, I can nearly build this. It tells you how long it takes to build. It does still cost you some credits on there. Building the Vasto, it's got nearly 11 hours left to go. And you might think, well, that's really annoying. Like, why does it take so long to build? But actually it's quite nice because I can put that on and then I can go, you know what, tomorrow I've got a reason to log into the game. I want to try out that new gun. It's not like I get everything right now and that's the way it goes. It's kind of nice. Claim that cipher. And there's just so much going on. As I said, you can incubate more pets. They're kind of pets, but they're actually fighting animals. You have there's just such a crazy amount of stuff going on. I'm not even going to cover it all because it's just crazy. You have quests. You can see here there's quite a few of them. They have prerequisites which you have to do, and that's where the game comes down to in the navigation section. So you have all these different planets here set in obviously our solar system. You start off with Earth and you go around and you do these different missions. You have different types of missions: capture, exterminate, defense, assassination, sabotage, excavation, different things. You even have like Arkwing missions, which are like flying in space with a giant winged backpack type jetpack thing. It's so cool. And as you unlock more kind of planets as you go around, you obviously get kind of like slightly higher, and you unlock more of the quests as you go through. It's got an interesting little story, but the reality is the game, where I think it really shines, is just the gameplay in itself. It's so much fun, and just the fact that you can if you're like, hey, you know what, I'm fed up with Ash, I want to play a different Warframe, no problem, you could get a different Warframe, can you play? And everything still progresses towards your level. I'm level 4 at the minute. It still progresses. It's not like, oh, I have to play through this class, I have to get to this level. I always hated in Destiny the kind of level system, the light level, just grinding out, getting a slightly better weapon, maybe infusing it and doing that. It annoyed me because I'm like, if I find a weapon I want to use that weapon. And it annoyed me with the exotics because I'm like, why can't I have 3 exotics? I found these exotics. I have to compromise how I'm playing because this game, doesn't want me to be too powerful. And I think that's the difference in Destiny to Warframe. Warframe wants you to be powerful. It wants you to feel like a badass space ninja. And it does. And it makes you feel like you can take on an army of soldiers. And you do. And I feel sometimes like Destiny wants you to kind of keep you a bit more grounded. And so they try to balance things a lot more, and I think what you end up with is something which is a slightly more bland. in a way. So guns kind of generally feel the same. You don't have anything too crazy. There are some exceptions. There's some really interesting guns and that are really fun to use. But like my biggest example with Destiny of like kind of curtailing your fun a little is the sword. I love using swords in Destiny, but they have ammo. Like, I understand the lore of them having ammo, but from a game design point of view, making a sword have ammo is ridiculous. You know, the swords in and the melee stuff in Warframe, they don't have ammo. If I want to go around and kill everything with a sword, I can do that. You know, if I want to use my hammer or whatever, or my fists and just beat everything up, I can do that in the game. There's that option. And yeah, it just makes you feel a lot more badass, I think, in this game than kind of Destiny does. Now, I know Destiny is famed for its things like its raid, its high level content, and I'll be honest, I was never really into that too much in Destiny. They always look like fun, but again, I kind of felt like it didn't make you feel that powerful if there has to be like 6 of you taking on one boss. You know, a thing I like about Warframe is that you feel powerful. You can solo a lot of the missions. It's cool to hang around with other people, and the community is really good. You know, I've played with a lot of different people, and they've all been really cool. I dropped a question on the Warframe Reddit and was blown away by the response. Like literally within about 2 minutes, I had about 11 responses to my question from people, because there's always people wanting to help. It's just really cool. I really, really, really enjoy this game. And as I said, it's free. There's no reason not to try. The one thing I will say is it's a little slow to get into the game. I would say you probably need to give it a good 10 hours to really sink your teeth in and understand what you're doing. Maybe watch a couple of videos, because the actual tutorial to the game is not the best. There is stuff you will miss. And, you know, watching a couple of tutorial videos on YouTube, things like that, will get you up to speed with most of the stuff you need to know and what you're doing. And of course, you can always ask in the community. You know, people will help you out as well. So yeah, I would say that that's kind of the advantage there. What I'll do is now cut to some gameplay and then kind of chat over that and just explain why I really love the gameplay and the style and what is going. But yeah, we'll cut through now, and I'll see you in a sec. Hey everyone, okay, so this is just a recording of a mission I recently did. And I just want to talk a little bit about the gameplay of Warframe. And, you know, gameplay is, at the end of the day, I think the most important thing in a game, isn't it? If you're going to spend tens, even hundreds of hours in a game, you've got to be pretty damn sure you enjoy playing through the game. And one thing I think Warframe is brilliant at is its combat and its movement in particular. I love the shooting mechanics of Destiny, as I kind of said before. It has a really nice weight and feel to the shooting, and Bungie are just masters at that. But what Warframe does that no other game I think has matched is just the badass speed and movement that you have within the game. I may not show it too brilliantly. I'm not a high level player, but you know, I do try and do my best. There's kind of different movement techniques you do. There's like crouch sliding to a kind of barrel roll jump, and like you have like wall jumps and you know, kind of special move sets. You'll probably see me use my sword quite a lot in this as well, as the bow, which I'm using here, is a kind of more of a long range sniper. The idea of this mission is to control this area, and so I'm just kind of hanging on this point here, trying to stop these guys do it. You can see I love the way the bow just blows back the enemies. It's very cool indeed. Your primary weapon and generally your secondary weapon have ammo. Ammo's fairly frequently kind of available as well. Your melee weapon obviously doesn't. You generally have shields and health. You do die when you go through, when you, obviously that goes, your health goes to 0. You can see me using the sword here. It's just an absolute badass sword. I do love it. And you can see the movement, like the speed and the slides. It's so smooth, it's so nice. It does take a lot to get used to, I will say that much. Like sometimes you're like, oh, I'll just run around because that's what I'm used to doing in kind of third person. But once you actually kind of experiment and you try out the movements and learn it a little bit, it's so good. And as I said, it does make you feel like this badass space ninja, just flying around, chopping people to pieces, with using your abilities and things like that. On there as well, there's the one probably criticism I'd have, but I think you can have this criticism in Destiny as well, is so far, and I'm about 20 to 25 hours into Warframe, the enemy types, there's not a huge difference in them. There are different types of entities. There's the Grenadier, there's the Corpus, and the Infested, I think it is Infested, which are like these guys. And so, there are different types, and they have different strengths, different weaknesses, which you can tie your kind of like builds to as necessary. You can kind of just see the speed and the movement here as you kind of go around. I mean, it's just phenomenally fast. It really is. And sometimes, like, you may be like, oh, I'm not too sure about this. It looks a little bit too fast for me, but trust me when I say you get used to it. There's different builds with different Warframes. You can have some fast ones. You can have some slower ones. You can have tanky ones. You can have ones which are about evasion. You can have ones which there's just a lot of different kind of ones which have different mechanics attached to them, and it means that you're not going to kind of get bored. I kind of feel like in Destiny, the classes, they're pretty similar. The subclasses as well are pretty similar. There's different advantages to each, and everyone has their personal preference, but your playstyle is more dictated by the weapon you use, whereas I feel like your Warframe in some ways in this will dictate the weapon you use more, but you can obviously have those choices and mix and match, and there's just lots to play with. There is of course a meta, as there is in any game, and people will say, oh, this is better than this, but I kind of generally believe, and I haven't hit a block yet where I haven't been like, oh, I need to be using this particular Warframe, because otherwise I'm not going to be able to do this, or etc. etc. There isn't that. I think the Warframes and the weapons are a lot closer linked than, say, some of the weapons in Destiny. Like in Destiny 2, for example, sometimes in PvP, if you're not using a certain weapon, you don't stand a chance compared to other people. It's a little bit silly. Whereas I think in Warframe you can. Now, I haven't really played much PvP in Warframe. I did die there, by the way, but someone revives me. I haven't played much PvP in Warframe. I've played a little bit in Destiny 2, and again, I enjoyed it. It's good fun. I don't think Destiny 2 is a bad game. I just think Warframe does a lot of things much better than it. And I think it's well worth trying. And the fact that it's free means that people can try it without this kind of, weight of a, $40 game with all its expansions and trying to do that. You can purchase the game. I played it for 20 hours before I even paid any money. Here I am choosing a reward for doing this. Before you pay any money and choose that option. I think it's well worth doing. You can get it on console, you can get it on PC. It's a really good time. And as I said, they're only continuing to do well in the game. Like, they're investing in it. They're making sure it is, a top-notch experience, I think. And it has this really dedicated fan base, I think, who like it. There are obviously things people are not quite happy with, as there always will be. But there's just so many options in this game. I think that there's something for everyone. I truly believe that. You will find a Warframe that suits you and a weapon that suits you, and you'll just have a blast in it as well. As I said, my downside is it takes a little while to get in. But that's my little look, I think, at Warframe and how it is. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you all next time.